I am Beth Porter. I am with the National Park Service Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. I'm opening up our event here today, and I also will be introducing each speaker. I've had the wonderful privilege over the last year of working with the Capitol Trail Coalition, which has been just an invigorating experience because from the get-go it has built in momentum and strength and partnership with the wonderful goal of developing a network of trail corridors for the Washington metropolitan DC area. With that, I'd like to introduce our welcome speaker, who is Blanca Stransky, Deputy Superintendent for George Washington Memorial Parkway, which manages this beautiful site that we're in right now, as well as the Mount Vernon Trail. Blanca?
Good morning. Am I too tall for this? Sorry. The staff and I are delighted to welcome you today, especially to this newly formed coalition. The Parkway is the most fitting place to welcome you on this auspicious occasion because, of course, we're home to one of the most used trails in the system, the Mount Vernon Trail. The trail was completed in 1988, and when it was completed in 1988, basically it was built to be a recreational trail. But as we know today, it is used as a commuter route as well as a recreational trail. And in fact, it receives over 1 million users a year. That is a huge amount of people. And we consider the Mount Vernon Trail one of our primary resources. Unfortunately, with the increase in users and the change of usage from recreational to more of a commuter trail, it's been kind of like a double-edged sword. While we welcome the additional people and additional users, we also struggle to maintain the trail and to provide a safe experience for all users. So for example, some of our problems have been speed enforcement. Those bicyclists trying to get to work are getting really, really fast. Snow removal and overcrowding of the trail, because on some weekends it's very difficult to even just walk because you're dodging bicyclists and other users. And overall trail safety. There's a lot of hazard trees along the trail. While our crews go out and remove those trees, we can't get to all of them, and so we're very concerned about the hazardous trees situation. However, the future is bright. And I can truly say that because we welcome our involvement with the Capitol Trails Coalition. And I know that by us working together, we're going to find solutions to these complex problems. But not only that, we're going to start planning for future trail users, because heaven knows how future generations are going to use this trail. And so we need to start planning now for those generations. And quite frankly, the timing couldn't be better. The National Park Service just celebrated its centennial anniversary, and we are committed to work with our partners and our stakeholders to provide transformative experiences for all park users, whether walking, hiking, or commuting. And so I'd like to congratulate everyone who spearheaded the effort to establish this great coalition. And I can say on behalf of George Washington Memorial Parkway, we are ready to roll up our sleeves and work together to create a seamless trail experience for all users. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Blanca. And I'd like to introduce Congressman Don Beyer, representing the 8th District of Virginia.
Good morning. I'm so happy and proud to be here. I love serving this district because there's so many wonderful pieces of it, and especially the trails networks we have in the incredible bicycle community. I'm proud to say I think I'm the only member of Congress that was once a National Park Service Ranger. I hate to say this to National Park people, but I worked the Lincoln Memorial. and gave speeches all day long, told people that we didn't have a souvenir stand and where the bathrooms were. And after a long time, I had my first job review, and they said, "You're doing really well." And I said, I want to go to Yosemite or the Grand Canyon. And they said, "Your promotion is to run the elevator at the Washington Monument." So when I quit. But and my old and dear friend David Brickley is here. He and I were the principal authors of the Welfare Reform Initiative in Virginia 20-some years ago. It was his bill and my commission. But David has finished the entire Appalachian Trail, which is the biggest epic adventure of my adult life. So I like to brag, I'm at 1,431 miles so far. It's the longest, thinnest park in the National Park Service system. One ranger. And so when I heard there was a trails today, I figured I better show up in case this is connecting to the national park. Sure. So look, I want to recognize the collaborative work of the Washington Area Bicyclists Association, WABA, the National Park Service, REI. It's very smart of the president to make the CEO of REI the Secretary of Interior, and the Virginia Bicycle Federation, and all that they've done to connect this wonderful multi-use trail network. This Capital Trails Coalition is really going to help us create a world-class network of multi-use trails. We've known for a long time that these are not just for recreation. I come to work in the morning in a car up here, you see bicycle after bicycle pass us as we wait to go over 14th Street Bridge. And Safe Track, unfortunately, is really encouraging ever more people to use the trails. This winter, at a time when the roads were barely cleared, my office got hundreds of phone calls asking when we were going to get the snow off the bike trails. So we know that we can't consider biking a secondary mode of transportation. This is now a primary mode of transportation for many, many people in this area. And the more we support a completed network, the more we get to smart, cost-effective infrastructure, the healthier we're going to live. And we understand how important this is. You know, commuting studies demonstrate that unsafe conditions are the primary obstacles to bike commuting. And I would personally love it if, in addition to improving the safety of the trails, our driver education classes, all those 16, 17-year-olds, were taught about the Dutch reach. Some of you know this well. The driver education, where it's a move taught in the Netherlands where a driver uses his right hand to open the car door. Then much more likely you're going to look over your shoulder and see if there's a bicyclist coming, or look in the mirror and notice. You know, more than once I've just opened that door and been yelled at appropriately for not looking and not checking. That way, if bikes are coming, you can really see them. It just makes it a lot safer. And when biking and walking is fast and safe, people will do it. Some of these problems are poorly designed trails that need better signage, and others are simply needed for the permanent grade separation infrastructure, like the connections from the Mount Vernon Trail to Memorial Bridge. You know, in the past, we've invited the National Park Service and WABA to check out the problem spots together. And these discussions really help people to plan, react, take things to the next level. In the 2016 Needs Assessment Survey in the Public Spaces Master Plan in Arlington, listen to this, paved multi-use trails are the most desired outdoor facility. 87% of Arlingtonians indicated that their household had a need for greater trails. And this speaks to their role as a transportation asset, and not just transportation asset, as community necessities. Walkable, bikeable communities are much more livable communities. So I am so happy to be here and play a very small part in inaugurating this Capital Trails Coalition. David, thank you for all you do in linking the 9/11 trails. And by the way, the Pacific Crest Trail just this week came out with their new coffee table book, published by Rizzoli. It's expensive, but after you finish the Appalachian Trail, we have to go do the PCT. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Congressman. I'd like to introduce Peter May, who's with our National Capital Region. He is our Associate Regional Director for Lands, Planning, and Design.
Thank you very much, Beth. So this is not my usual forum for speaking into a microphone, but I'll try to do my best. Anyway, good morning, everyone. I'm glad we got some sun. It not only helps the day, but it also makes it easier for me to read what I've written here. So anyway, riding here this morning, well, riding to work and then riding here, I thought back on the My earliest experience is riding a bicycle in Washington back in the late 1970s, and so much has changed since that time. So much has been done to build a network of trails, making the region a great place to ride a bike, whether you're commuting like I do, or whether you're just out to enjoy a ride in a park. But so much is still to be done to create a comprehensive and integrated regional network of multi-use trails. With the announcement this morning of the Capital Trail Coalition, our work toward furthering its a regional trail system can jump into high gear, which in my case is 9th gear. It used to be 27th gear, but anyway, I want to thank WABA and all the partners for your hard work pushing us all forward toward making this idea a reality. The coalition could not have come at a better time. As many of you know, the National Park Service just wrapped up our paved trail study, which sets a vision and goals that will strengthen and expand the NPS trail system in the National Capital Region. I want to take a second to thank Tammy Stidham on my staff, who's our Chief of Planning. I think I saw her here. Oh, she went over to that side. She's trying to mess me up, because she led us through that effort and has done a fantastic job working with WABA and all of our partners. The plan looked beyond, sorry, another one of our small issues, the flight plan, but anyway, the National Park Service plan looked beyond our Park Service trails, testing ideas and making recommendations for working with park partners to connect and integrate our trails with the regional trail network. You may have heard in August, the National Park Service celebrated its 100th birthday. So, major milestones like the centennial are an opportunity to look back and, more importantly, an opportunity to look forward. Projects and activities throughout the year have focused on connecting and creating the next generation of National Park Service visitors, supporters, and advocates. We sought to redefine the word park. It is much more than just national parks, but a broad continuum of public spaces and places through which we connect our communities to these important places and experiences. Trails are a means by which we connect these public spaces and places and people together. Our paved trail plan suggests that by connecting and combining trails, we can create the National Capital Trail. The concept designates 4 distinct loops that each offer between 18 and 45 miles of diverse trail experiences, linking our parks in the National Capital Region and area destinations. Of course, we're not alone in planning for trails. Other jurisdictions have plans as well. The only way to establish a truly regional trail network is to work together with local governments and trail partners. And here, this is where the coalition is a game changer. The coalition can be a cohesive element, bringing us together and providing a forum for planning and sharing resources and coordinating activities to strengthen and expand the trail networks throughout the Washington area. The National Park Service is proud to be a core partner in the Capital Trail Coalition. So thank you for having me here today. On behalf of my colleagues in the National Park Service, I look forward to working with the coalition and its partners as we build a new future for trails.
Thank you, Peter. I'd like to introduce Captain Sarah Newman, Director of Public Health for the National Park Service.
Good morning. Wow, what a beautiful day. As the Director of the National Park Service Office of Public Health, I'm really thrilled to join you this morning. What a beautiful spot along the Mount Vernon Trail. Every day I bike from home in Arlington to my job in National Park Service. I feel so proud to see the majesty of what we have in this nation, and that our parks and our Park Service actually protects these incredible treasures. So I obviously care a lot about our trails and the importance of biking and the ability to bike. So it's just a pleasure to be here to support the work that you guys are doing. The National Park Service considers the health and well-being of park visitors, employees, neighboring communities to be a priority. And our existing parks, trails, green space in the DC area are the largest healthcare facility that we have. So we really have to protect it, promote it, and treasure it. Many of you may be surprised to learn that the National Park Service has an Office of Public Health. I am privileged to serve as a Commissioned Corps officer in the U.S. Public Health Service, leading our office with a dual responsibility to the Director of the National Park Service, John Jarvis, as well as to our U.S. Surgeon General, Rear Admiral Vivek Murthy. Like our Surgeon General, who's our nation's doctor, the Park Service considers the health and well-being to be a priority, and health has actually been foundational to the work that we do in the National Park Service for 100 years. Founders of park systems, such as Frederick Law Olmsted, knew that people needed nature and wrote in the Yosemite Report of 1865, which actually influenced the Organic Act, he said, quote, "The occasional contemplation of nature, natural scenes, change of air and change of habits is favorable to the health and vigor of people." And in 1918, our first National Park Service Director, Steve Mather, requested the U.S. Surgeon General to send down a U.S. Public Health Service officer to ensure that the water was safe to drink. Currently, so today we have more than 50 Commissioned Corps officers assigned to the National Park Service to ensure the safety and health of our visitors, of our public, of our employees, and of our communities. Through our office, we provide technical expertise on food, drinking water safety, wastewater, vector control, infectious disease surveillance, outbreak response, and health promotion to protect, advance, and promote the health and safety of millions of visitors, nearby communities, and volunteers, as well as our employees. Unfortunately, you know that we have a public health crisis in the United States, and it's related to preventative chronic disease, obesity, diabetes, ADHD, stress, depression, and other physical and mental and emotional ailments. The costs are crippling. 133 million Americans currently suffer from a chronic disease: coronary heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and mental health conditions. People suffering from obesity are at an increased risk of high blood pressure, and obesity is a major epidemic in our country. 35% of adults are obese. This is worse than many of our neighboring countries in Latin America. For every dollar spent on healthcare, 86% is spent on patients with one or more chronic diseases. We know, however, from the published literature, that parks and public lands are free or low-cost resources in many communities that can provide an excellent antidote to this. Spending time in nature, we know, is linked with decreased anxiety, rumination, and negative effects. These are found in the literature. It's scientific evidence is building. Walking in parks improve focus in children with attention deficits. We're not only seeing it in the literature, we're seeing it day to day with our park prescription, which I'll talk about. Access to parks reduce risk of being overweight and obesity. Physical activity in natural environments is more beneficial on mental well-being than physical activity indoors. So how can the Trail Coalition work with national park units, the city and county agencies and other partners to meet this vision? Well, this is why I'm so excited today about the work that you're doing, and so happy to be here to support that. I think we can utilize much of what's already going on and build on more in the future. For example, the administration's Let's Move campaign that Michelle Obama instituted. It's a phenomenal program, which we should carry on into the future. The Every Fourth Grader Outdoors, which is a National Park Service initiative that is phenomenal for getting our youngest people engaged and interested and stimulated by our park system at that early age, where they invite their entire family. And building on our Surgeon General's, U.S. Surgeon General's Call to Action on Walking, which was released this past September, which provides the scientific evidence. You know, when the Surgeon General releases a call to action, there's science behind it. There's the call to action on smoking that our Surgeon General released, and other call to action. This one is literally on walking, that walking can improve health. It doesn't take much to get people to walk. Now, clearly we need accessible roads. We need roads that people can get to with a wheelchair, because it's not just walking, it's walkable communities. But what a wonderful initiative to get anyone outdoors. You don't need a lot of equipment to do it, just some good sturdy shoes. We want to connect our people and our communities with with our parks through a new program, which is really exciting, called Park Prescriptions. And you might laugh and say, are you kidding me? You're prescribing parks? Yes. There are doctors, and one of our pioneer doctor right here in Washington, D.C., Dr. Robert Czar, who has pioneered the park prescription movement. He literally goes to his computer, has a database where he can prescribe parks to his patients, and he's seen incredible results that are just astounding. I could tell you story after story, but in 2 minutes I certainly can't. But it's exciting that we have these incredible programs. At the National Park Service, we are now embarking on our second century, and of relevance and connecting with America. We should rediscover and reflect on the roots of this organization. Of course, I think the roots are public health. I'm a little biased, but I believe the roots of this organization are really addressing some of those serious and meaningful, important public health issues. And so let's get back to those roots and ensure that we see how our parks can continue to serve as a health resource. I encourage members of the Trail Coalition to look at trails and parks in a new role, one in which they are the solutions for many of the social service needs of the American public, such as preventable chronic disease that we've talked about, but even issues such as poverty, homelessness, gang violence, issues that are really at the heart of issues that are concerning to all of us. There's nobody that can argue that we're really concerned about some of these issues. And programs like Park Prescription and other programs we have, Healthy Parks, Healthy People, can help us make those connections. As an agency, we need to build on that strong foundation and work collaboratively with partners just like you. And so in this new role, I hope we can all reach out to Americans and demonstrate that we're committed, and I'm committed, and look forward to working with all of you on this. I'm so appreciative that our congressional representatives are here. How incredible that you're here, sir, and you represent my district, so I'm especially proud to see you here. But it's a wonderful that our congressmen are here to support this, because they really do see the value, and it has a lot of meaning. It really does. Our parks, trails, and green space in the D.C. area truly comprise one of the largest health facilities that our citizens have. So I say we promote it. I want to end in closing with some words from Richard Louv, who, as you may know, wrote Lost Child in the Woods. His most recent book is Vitamin N. But he says, and I think it resonates with me, it is easy to blame the nature deficit disorder on the kids or on the parents, but they also need the help of urban planners, schools, libraries, and other community agents to find nature that's accessible. Guess what, folks? That's us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I'd like to introduce Matt Little with REI. He is the Outdoor Programs and Outreach Mid-Atlantic Manager and has been just a wonderful partner to our coalition. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, everybody. Can you hear me all right? Okay, cool. Once again, I'm that REI guy who shows up to a formal event in an outfit best described as aggressively casual. 3 plus years ago, I guess, Greg Billing from the Washington Area Bicyclists Association called me up and said, hey, I think we have an opportunity to do something pretty special. DC already has an incredible infrastructure of trails, but they don't connect. And there's a lot of reasons that he taught me about why they don't connect. But Greg and his team felt the time was right now in this city to bring folks together to work on creating connectivity and truly building a network of trails. And he said, I want to host a meeting that brings these people together to see if there is that common interest, and if we do have some momentum, would REI help us pay for it? And we said, yeah, of course, we'll do that. And then a year later, called back and said, hey, that meeting went really well, and people have kept talking, and we actually think we have the grassroots of a network here. We want to bring them back together again and see if they really want to go somewhere with this. Would REI pay for that? And we said, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And I was at that meeting, and walking out of it, it was like a big tent revival for trails and the life outside. And walking out of it, I was walking with Greg, and it was clear that a coalition could happen but there needed to be some really dedicated staff members who could kind of be the banner champions for that and make sure that 100% of their time are focused on pulling people together. And I said to Greg, you got to hire some people, man. And he said, will you pay for that? I said, hang on. And I went to our headquarters and I told them about the story about what's happening here. And to actually my surprise, our headquarters said, that's really, really meaningful. We think we have an opportunity to create a legacy in our nation's capital. And I'm proud to announce that REI is investing through WABA and the Capitol Trails Network to the tune of $500,000 over the next 3 years. Yeah, I'm excited about it too. So why are we doing it, right? Raise your hand if you're an REI member. Okay, lots of you, right? We're doing it because we have to, because we're built to. REI is a cooperative, a member-owned cooperative. We're not a publicly traded company. We're owned by everybody who just raised their hand. And if you look at our bylaws, we are ordered to act in your best interest. That's why we exist. So if we went to any of you who just raised your hand, you said, hey, do you think REI should invest a share of our profits in making sure that Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, has a world-class connected network of bike trails? All of you would say, hell yeah, you should totally do that, REI. And so we do. I'm really, really proud of our company for making this investment in the future of this region. It's a pretty powerful thing that the coalition has going on right now. In 8 days, we are going to open a REI flagship store in the heart of DC, a 10-minute walk from the Capitol Dome. We're pretty excited about that. Clearly from a just where do I go to get my gear perspective, there's a lot of people who have been wishing we had a great REI in the city for a long time. This is our biggest market on the East Coast. We've got incredible stores all around DC, but they're not, we've known for a long time we needed one in the heart of the district. So we're excited about that for sure. But I think from a larger perspective, what we're really excited about, when we open a flagship store, it's not just about retail. It's about creating a special place to convene. If you've been to our Denver store, our Seattle store, that's a really inspiring experience. When we opened those stores 15 years ago, we said, okay, let's put in a climbing wall and let's put in a bike trail outside and things like that. And that made sense at the time. For us, this time, knowing that we were opening a store that was going to act on our members' best interest in the heart of the district, we said we should use that extra square footage to create convening space. So we're opening a store that has multiple spaces within it that are available for those with the outdoor point of view to come together. We hope that the Capitol Trails Coalition, for instance, will host their next coalition meeting in our community room. We hope that the next event like this could be in our outdoor courtyard space. We hope that we throw a huge party for you guys the next time that we build a chunk of vital trail. So anyway, we're wickedly excited about what's going on with the Capitol Trails Coalition. Personally, professionally, we believe in it. Thanks for letting us act on your behalf and do great things here in Washington, D.C. So congratulations to all y'all.
Thank you very much, Matt. We're all very excited about the launch of the new store. I'd like to introduce Charles Glass with Maryland Department of Transportation, Assistant Secretary for Policy Analysis and Planning.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Good morning. First, I have to say it's an honor to be here representing Governor Hogan and Secretary Ron. I also have a secondary title that's I'm also the Director of Bicycle and Pedestrian Access for the state of Maryland. It's been a challenging 9 months. I left academics to take this position, but it's been highly enlightening. I did break my collarbone commuting to work a year ago, and it's still clicking, but it's okay. I use the park system to do that, riding down Rock Creek Park and then cutting over to 14th Street and taking some bike lanes. Sometimes people misconstrue things that are going on in Maryland. We had some successes this last 9 months. We opened the Hayden Bridge to help out with the 9/11 Memorial Trail. Now, that was a big call by Secretary Ron. We've had to reduce some of the hours, but it's still open for long riders that are going to make the trail and by appointment, basically. Also, we have 3 programs to support expanding bicycle riders throughout the state. We have a lot of activity going on in Baltimore right now. We have our first bike share that's opening up, I think next week. And we also have multiple routes around the city in Baltimore. We've received 36 applications for bicycle and pedestrian priority areas in the state of Maryland. I believe 30 of them came from Montgomery County and Prince George's County. And I believe it's already been announced, so I can say this. We can't announce our funding because we're going to announce funding for fiscal year 17 at the Anacostia Trail opening. But the BPAs has been announced, and 6 of them are in Montgomery County, and 1 is in Prince George's County. So of the 8 awards, they're all in the DC metropolitan area, except for 1. So I just want to say, Eric Brenner, thanks to Eric Brenner for participating on the coalition. He is our Maryland Bicycle and Pedestrian Access Commission Chair. I am the highest designee on that commission, and I look forward to participating and making sure we coordinate on planning, because we do spend a lot of money in the state of Maryland on bicycle and pedestrian access. However, we aren't always focused on connectivity because of different political interests. I think by having the coalition help us solidify everything in Montgomery County and Prince George's County, most of those submissions are actually on spokes. So they're north-south, north-south connectors, not on the circumference. If the Purple Line gets back on track, we do have a trail that would have done a lot to connect the Capitol Crescent Trail and the Anacostia Trail. But we'll see how that all turns out. But again, thank you for inviting us here. We plan to stay involved. I plan on having a staff member at meetings moving forward, and we look forward to working with you all. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Sam Zimbabwe, Acting Chief Project Delivery Officer with the District Department of Transportation.
Thank you everybody for coming out this morning. It's great to see such a big crowd. Thank you for having me here. It's great to be here on behalf of Mayor Bowser and our Director Leif Dormsjo. To just say a few words. I know we've heard a lot of words. Everybody's sitting, wants to get back to the coffee and pastries, so I'll be brief. For us, trails are transportation. They serve thousands of people daily as transportation routes. We have 3,000 people a day on the Capitol Crescent Trail, 1,500 people a day on the Met Branch Trail, and we've already heard trail usage has gone up a lot during WMATA's Safe Track work. Trails are a key part of that resilient transportation network that we have in this region. Trails also support Vision Zero, our plan to eliminate fatalities and serious injuries in less than 10 years in the District of Columbia. Trails are part of our efforts to make a transportation system that works for everybody of all ages and all abilities. Every second grader in DC public schools is now learning how to bike, and trails are an important place for them to learn how to bike safely. Trails connect neighborhoods to parks, to schools, to metro stations, and to more. You can walk or roll on our trails for health, recreation, enjoyment, whether you live near Watts Branch on the eastern side of the city or Rock Creek on the western side. The district has over 50 miles of paved trails, and many more are in the design and construction process. The Trails Coalition and a group like this is necessary because coordination with our partners across the region is incredibly important. Huge successes happen when our jurisdictions coordinate, and the more that we can coordinate on projects, the more successful we will all be. And at DDOT, we can't do this alone. An example of this, Charles referred to it, but the Anacostia Riverwalk Trail, funded by a U.S. Department of Transportation Tiger grant. The trail will soon unite 70 miles of regional trails and create walking and biking connections between communities along the Anacostia River. The project is a partnership among the district, the state of Maryland, National Park Service, Federal Highway Administration, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, Prince George's County. The new 4-mile section of trail has been years in the making, and we're excited to announce that the trail will open officially on Monday, October 31st at 10 a.m. Come in your favorite trail-themed costume. And stay tuned for a little bit more details soon about the location of the ribbon cutting. Our next segment of trail to open will be the Klingel Valley Trail in 2017, also years in the making, and we've been working with the National Park Service and Federal Highway Administration for many years on the rehabilitation of the Rock Creek Trail. Work is now underway with the reconstruction of Beach Drive, the full rehabilitation of the trail coming in the next few years. We're working in partnership with National Park Service, again, there's a theme here, and WABA to extend the Metropolitan Branch Trail from Brooklyn to Fort Totten and then on to Tacoma, connecting into Maryland again. The district, I ride the Met Branch Trail very often, and that helps with my reflexes. It's good. The district is a key part of this regional puzzle, and the Capital Trails Coalition can help us make sure that everyone in the district and the region as a whole has access to this incredible resource. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sam. I'd like to introduce Keith Laughlin, President of the Rails to Trails Conservancy.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'd like to congratulate National Park Service on their centennial. This year is also the 30th anniversary of the Rails to Trails Conservancy. When we opened our doors in 1986, we were aware of 250 miles of rail trail in the country. I am proud to say now that there are more than 22,000 miles of rail trail in all 50 states that are used by tens of millions of Americans every year. And this has been what began as a great idea has really turned into a movement. And these trails are really well loved and well used, but we're really not getting as much benefit out of them as we could. And that's because they were designed as individual trails without an awful lot of thought given to the notion of connectivity, how they fit together into a network like our street system does, so that you can actually get from one place to another. So Rails to Trails Conservancy has launched a national program where we currently have identified 6 regional projects across the country, this being one of them, that are to demonstrate what can be done on a metropolitan level in terms of creating an interconnected, seamless trail system. We intend to expand that to 12 of these projects over the course of the next 4 years. Now, with these projects, we're seeking in each of these places to produce 5 outcomes. One is to enhance mobility. We want to make sure that we have a truly multimodal transportation system with walking and biking as being major elements of that system. Number 2, we want to catalyze economic development. We have seen across the country that when the trails come in, they often spur the creation of new small businesses in terms of bike shops and trailside cafes and bed and breakfasts. This happens all over the country. Number 3 is that we want to improve public health. As was indicated earlier, there are great opportunities to reduce healthcare costs by giving people access to the infrastructure they need to meet the Surgeon General's recommendations in terms of daily physical activity. Number 4, we want to encourage regional competition of making our regions competitive economically. We are now, in a 21st century economy, and quality of life has become a real competitive advantage, and it's those places that have a high quality of life, that have access to recreation, that give people the opportunity to walk and bike, that will be able to attract a young, highly educated workforce. This is truly a multimodal transportation corridor. Number 5 is social equity. It is extremely important that as we build out these systems in all of these places across the country, that we ensure from the get-go that the systems are designed so that the benefits created are shared equitably by all residents of the community. And so what we're really looking to do is to create safe routes to everywhere for everyone. Now, final question would be, why DC? Why did we want to do this here? Number one, well, first of all, it's in our own backyard, so we have self-interest in doing this. But number one is there's already such a tremendous trail system that has already been built. We have an opportunity to do with some strategic connecting the dots to really connect this system together. So there's already so much on the ground to begin to work with. Number two, we strongly believe that it takes a network of partners to create the network of trails. And that's what the Capital Trails Coalition offers. There's a tremendous, as everyone can tell, tremendous partnership here with lots of different people who are committed to this. And number three, frankly, is the notion of the demonstration effect. What better place than the nation's capital to demonstrate what this kind of system would look like? The Washington, D.C. region gets over 20 million visitors per year. If some small percentage of them can experience this trail network and can then take those ideas back home and say, we want that too. In addition to Congressman Beyer, we have 534 other members of Congress, and if we can help them see what we have done here, they will take that back home and say, we want that here too. And so it's extremely important to us that this be a really important showcase for what we can do in terms of creating a regional trail system and a regional active transportation system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And for our closing remarks, we'll have Greg Billing, the Executive Director of the Washington Area Bicyclists Association, and on behalf of the Capital Trail Coalition.
I'd like everyone to just take a second and look around at how many people are here today. We filled the house, which is pretty impressive. So my name is Greg Billing. I'm the Executive Director for the Washington Area Bicyclists Association. I'd like to thank our speakers, our coalition partners, members of the press, and all of you for coming out to show your support for this project. Especially like to thank Assistant Secretary Charles Glass from MDOT, Virginia Rep. Don Beyer for being here today. Thank you. Associate Director Sam Zimbabwe, DDOT President from Rails to Trails Keith Laughlin, Associate Chief Peter May in the back there with his, I don't know if anybody caught, but he's wearing bike commuter shoes. Sorry to spoil your secret. Very nice. And Matt Little from REI and Captain Sarah Newman. Thank you. As listening to our speakers, I was literally crossing off points on my talking points because we had representation from transportation, from public land managers, from public health. This is a convening of multiple interests, and it's important that you all are here today. Thank you. I would like to say that REI deserves a special thank you for believing in this vision, for being with us through this process over the last 2 years. And when complete, they firmly believe, as do we, that we will be creating a trail network that will be a lasting legacy for future generations. How incredible is that? The Washington Area Bicyclists Association, WABA, is the regional advocacy and education organization. We are 6,500 members and 65,000 supporters strong. We were founded in 1972. And we have worked tirelessly over these last 4 decades to make bicycling better in the region. Our strategic plan going forward sets a vision that within 20 years, all members of our community will live within at least 1 mile of a safe place to bike, if not smaller, because we believe that everybody should have access to a safe place to bike. At this time in our organization, we are approaching these issues differently, and as you see today, it's in coalition. The importance of this coalition is that things don't get finished together in isolation. We have many success stories where collaboration has paid off, and citizens are reaping the benefits. This coalition is aiming to make those success stories more frequent and affecting even more people. Today, over 40 organizations, nonprofits, civic groups, and public agencies are working together in coalition, and that number is still growing. I'd like to give a special thank you to the National Park Service and to Rails to Trails Conservancy for being founding partners and core in this coalition, so thank you. Over the last year, we've worked internally on a number of important issues that sometimes aren't very fun, but really looking at how this group works, makes decisions, and we are building consensus in this group, which takes time. The way the coalition is structured is it does encourage deliberation and consensus building at every turn. This is important because we want the trail network to be designed for everyone, work for everyone, and serve the needs of many and not the select few. This will take a dedicated focus on inclusion and addressing the concerns of the growing inequity in our community. We are far from finished in our work, even though we launched the coalition today. We will be defining over the next few months what the network looks like and working to listen to people in the community about the concerns and desires for a regional transportation system for biking and walking. We do have big questions today. I'm sure you want to know, where's the trails go? How many trails do we have to build? How many trails do we have built? How much is it going to cost to build all of these trails? These are fantastic questions, and we don't have the answers. But this is the time to get involved and help us make these important decisions. And so I really would encourage you to sign up if you're an organization or an agency as a coalition member, attend our meetings, and think about serving on our